And so this is going to be Wally's Carousel post copy class, right? So this is going to be how I think we can drive shit tons of leads for our sports betting account. So basically I want to show a framework from start to finish, and then I want to show some examples, right? So first things first is I want to just go through a carousel post from start to finish, and then I'm going to go back to this framework and then kind of break apart the framework a little bit, right? And then go through some other examples of how we did it, and so you can kind of get a full picture of what I think. And then I also want to basically give you an idea or kind of what I think could be cool for a carousel post for this account, right? So anyway, so check this out right here. We got the hook, body, transition, CTA, right? So we're going to go through our first carousel post. So here is one right here. So here's one I did very recently. And so for context, the offer that we're doing here is we're getting people to basically opt in for a business opportunity, right? And this is a network marketing opportunity that I'm helping someone market at this phase. So anyway, you can see right here, so we have our hook, right? So don't want the stress and radiation of a mammogram, ? And then you see that this is that got really nice clean branding, right? We got his logo in the corner right here. You got this swipe. It's like, it's a nice photo of him. It's sized really big, right? All these elements are really important. That's why I'm like talking about them, right? So just kind of like see how this is positioned. So I think this is cool. Anyway, so don't want the stress and radiation of a mammogram. That's the hook, or the first slide, right? And remember, that's the first thing that someone is going to see whenever they see this post, right? So if we don't hook them at the beginning, if it's not interesting enough with a photo, something visual, anything like that, then they're not going to read the rest of the post anyway, right? So ideally, and with these creators, especially the ones that have faces, we can use the creator's face, right? But for faceless pages, we kind of have to use a different strategy. So some differences there, but I'm just talking out loud as I go, right? So don't want the stress and radiation of mammogram. And then it's like, we kind of continued this argument, right? So the next slide is like, then you don't need to undergo this treatment. Why are you subjected to mammograms when dense breast tissue may require a second ultrasound anyway? And why does insurance often refuse coverage for ultrasounds unless they've undergone a mammogram first? And obviously this copy here is very specific for we're talking about health stuff, and I know a lot of this stuff probably doesn't like matter to you. And I want to show you is just basically this. So it goes hook, and then it goes body, right? And so once you go from the first slide, then you go into the body copy, right? And then that's where you basically continue the argument that you created on the first slide, right? So, don't want the stress and radiation of mammogram. Then when this person goes to the next slide, that first transition, it obviously needs to match, right? Right, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a statement like this, where it's like, then you don't need to undergo this treatment. But you see what I mean, right? The transition between slide to slide slide to slide needs to be very clean. So we have hook, and then body, right? Body. These are all body copies, right? Boom. So this body copy right here is, here we go. So. Well, let me see how many slides this was. So this was 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that was 4 slides of body copy right there. So that was me continuing the argument, right? Giving some information, dosing it up with a little bit of, whatever, right? How much you can, there's a lot of content right there that you can add, right? And the reason I'm being vague is because it depends on what you talk about in your hook, right? So for the sports betting offer, if it's like, like how a 28-year-old was able to, start professionally sports betting and then pay off his car, right? Then the body copy should probably be something like a story about how, he went in debt and, right? So let me know if that makes sense, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. So anyway, that's the body copy. And then you'll notice that once there's the next kind of phase of this is what I call the transition, right? So once you have the body copy, you have the transition, and then the transition copy will then move you into the call to action. So let me show you an example of like transition copy right here, right? So I'll start reading at the top of this slide and I'll go down into the next one. So it's like the healthcare system isn't eager for patients to fully understand limitations of mammograms or to explore alternative options. There's little incentive for industry to promote alternatives, especially those that may be less profitable or involve fewer follow-up procedures. The same goes for treatments for common problems in our daily lives: not enough sunlight, excessive aging, low fatigue, etc. The result is 99% of Americans are in the dark about alternative treatments that can actually improve their standard of living. I can't go into too much detail about these alternative treatments without the algorithm shadow ban me, but let me show you a quick example. So you notice that like the whole post was about like how modern medicine and everything like that is basically not helping all these women with their mammograms. And so then these alternative treatments are not available or not commonly known. So now we're setting a framework or a thesis for us to open up them for the offer, right? So here's an example. So I can't go into too much detail about these alternative treatments without the algorithm shadow banning me, but let me show you a quick example. Boom. I built a business around a cutting edge technology that leverages the healing power of phototherapy. It's a proven non-invasive treatment that aligns with your and then there's a little bit more information right here about that. It's backed by science, designed to combat the negative effects of today's disconnected lifestyles, like the lack of natural sunlight. If you're interested in building a business around phototherapy, I'm offering exclusive mentorship and training so you can harness this tool for yourself and others, right? And then boom, this is the CTA. Comment the word build to learn more about this breakthrough technology. It's time to make sense of your health again. I look forward to hear from you, right? So you notice that like the body of the copy right here, as we talk about mammograms and not being able to promote alternative medicine and stuff like that, leads us into, talking about the idea that 99% of Americans actually don't know that there's alternative medications available, right? And so then, boom, that leads into us talking about one specific alternative medication, which is phototherapy, something that the creator in this specific account, like promotes a lot. And so by kind of, taking people down this little journey through the slides, we kind of get them, warmed up. We take a whole thought, we complete a whole story into a transition that then takes them to our call to action to get them to opt in for basically joining this business, right? So you notice the CTA, whenever I get to the end, is right. So comment the word build to learn more about this breakthrough technology. It's time to make sense of your health again, right? I look forward to hearing from you. So once they comment build, like they're knowing that they're basically saying, hey, I want information about this. And then right before that, in the transition before I got to the CTA, you'll see, if you're interested in building a business around phototherapy, I'm offering exclusive mentorship and training so you can harness this tool for yourself and others. So anyway, so that was a big breakdown of this carousel post right here, just to give you kind of idea of how I go about writing these. So I want to go through a couple more examples as well. So there's another one, right? And I want to show you this example because this is going to be relevant for whenever I go back to the Zoom whiteboard in just a second, right? So anyway, this is another client. He goes, I used to sit wondering why I couldn't close a big IUL policy, ... right? So this is a thought-provoking statement or, a leading statement, right? And then I've got a nice photo with him here. It looks like a selfie. He's kind of like chilling, looking down, right? It's like so super candid, really natural, right? Boom. And then this is him on stage later where it's like I watch other folks walk away with fat commissions while I just struggle to get a yes. It was interesting. It's a very interesting dynamic here, right? So you notice that in these slides, I'm making it kind of more like a picture book with stories, or like a picture book. I'm using pictures with the copy as I use the carousel slides, right? Boom. And then I use his kid, right? So meanwhile, I'm trying to build a family, paycheck to paycheck. So him and his children, great photo. Boom. Then I met my mentor who taught me how the IO game is really played. So that's him and his mentor. He says to me, you're not here to play small, right? And Brandon, I'm going to show you how to own the room and close deals like you're unstoppable. Same photo. Ever have someone completely shape you into a completely different person? Boom. That's exactly what happened to me. That's all it takes. Not a qualification, not a YouTube, but a mentor who's been there before. The secrets he shared with me helped me build a 7-figure annual business. If that's what you want to learn how to do that too, I'm passing on everything I know. I'm giving away a free private video that reveals how to leverage AI and social media to build your 7-figure empire. I'll send you over a quick survey to see where you're at. And then you'll unlock this private training video that explains how you can become your own boss. Comment the word age right now to get your piece of life insurance industry. So you'll see, that like in this process, well, I did the same thing, right? So, I just use a different style of carousel here. So thought-provoking statement or hook. We go into the body copy, boom, boom, boom. This is a story about the mentor and him helping out the mentor, right? And then here's the transition, right? The secret he shared with me helped me build a 7-figure IUL business. And if you want to learn how to do that too, I'm passing everything I know, right? So that was a very simple transition, just in one slide right there. I'm giving away a private video that reveals how to leverage AI and social media to build your right? So building up the CTA, giving context for it. I'll send you over a quick survey to see where you're at. Boom. Then you'll unlock this private training video that explains how to become your own boss. Boom. Comment the word agent right now to get your piece of life insurance agency. So that's another style that you can do, right? You can do photos, just all photos like this, which actually worked out really good. Decent replies, right? We got decent leads on this. And this was all comment triggers, right? But we could easily, what I'm saying for the ads is we should basically, on shadow pages, just run a DM keyword, right? That way and then get them to DM our page. And I'll show you what I mean by that and how to do it. So don't worry about that in terms of the copy or like how to structure it, but that's the example. So cool. Here's another one, right? So this $300 million fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul is in November, but why isn't Mike retired yet? Question mark. Right? Good thought-provoking question, right? Good hook. So a lot of people asked this, and this was a good, relevant post for this client right here. Also Brandon, right? So boom, you can see the first slide that comes up, just a photo of Mike being dope, and then start talking about Mike. At the top of his career, Mike Tyson, but 15 years, he blew it all and filed away for bankruptcy in 2003. So this is, starting to go into the body of the post, but we're talking about Mike Tyson, and because basically, this account is all about wealth building and stuff like that. So they really like celebrities. So we try to use celebrities in our content to be able to, get people interested. So anyway, boom. Nowadays, Mike's better as money, as bonus cash. He has assets that 100% predict his money during tough times, and most folks aren't even aware that these assets exist. For example, if Mike Tyson put his millions in my flip system, he wouldn't even need to touch his cash to pay for his trainer. I'll show you what I mean on the next slide. He'll grow an asset that's completely secure, growing his money at 7% on the average per year, tax-free. Then he takes out a loan against the asset, uses the money for the loan to pay for things without touching cash reserves. If he passes away, the death benefit will rebalance the books and take care of his loved ones. If the economy plummets, there's 0% floor, so he never loses a dime. I call this strategy the flip. The ultra-rich use it to grow leverage their Benjamins, but you don't need to be a millionaire to use the flip. I work with lawyers, doctors, business owners, teachers, and more. So if you want to learn how to do this, I'm giving away my book for free. Comment the word flip right now. I'll send you a digital copy ASAP. It's selling for $27 on Amazon, but I'll get you free. You can take back control of your finances, right? So same components right here. We have a hook, right? So the hook was, obviously, this was all about Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, and why isn't Mike retired yet, right? And then it starts transition immediately into how much money Mike has made, because it's important, right? In order to set the context of how much money he should be making or he should have had, we need to know how much money he had made, right? So anyway, good start to the post, blah, 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 right? And so this is how we write these posts. And they're, like I said, the same formula every time, and I'll go through it again in just a second. Here's another one, right? So what's the real reason Kylie uses credit cards? Hint, it's to unlock more wealth. And so there's a video, right? So you can actually do carousels with videos like this on the first slide. And I can show you how to set that up. And these work, these are fucking gas, bro. So if you have a video on the front, normal carousel slides like so, right? So check this out. So boom, hook, without ever touching your billions, right? Continuing the hook, continuing the thing, making it interesting, right? We gotta stop pretending these billionaires are making their wealth by sheer luck. Kylie doesn't use credit cards because she can be done with her money. She's using credit cards so she can keep her liquid assets invested in ventures that generate high returns. It talks about OPM in this post and So anyway, so I'm building this this argument with the body or copy right here, right? And then you say, hey, you won't find this info easily even with ChatGPT, but I'll give it to you for free. You want to learn the rich man's playbook. Boom. Comment the word live right now, and then join my free masterclass on building wealth without the IRS breathing down your neck every Wednesday, right? So there wasn't a big transition into this per se, right, into this particular post. So there is a style that goes to this, right? And so I'm not necessarily going to tell you how many slides to write or anything like that. What I want to do is facilitate you kind of like getting a feel for it, right? So what I find when it comes to copy is you want to keep writing until you are pretty much done writing. So you can always dial back, but you always need to write more. So I'd rather you write more, overdo it, and then kind of trim it and make it more, punchy, if that makes sense. So cool. So that's these carousels, just some examples that I wanted to walk you through. And then the other one is, I want to go back to this board, right? So the structure is basically this. So it's a hook, right? So it's like a thought-provoking question. So, you saw a good example of that. Interesting statement or fact, right? So that could be about a celebrity or somebody, it could be a lot of stuff, right? We have to find out what's interesting to the audience. Like one thing I found was interesting for my life insurance client was for whatever reason, people were interested in lottery winners, right? So we would always make posts about lottery winners and how much money they lost. And then we would find a way to transition that into talking about our offer and how you save money and it's a tax shelter and stuff like that. So interesting statements can be a good place. And then interesting facts can be a good one too. They could be did you know that 99% of course sellers and online, did you know that 99% of online creators and course sellers are actually fail online before they even, make it to their first year, right? That's an interesting fact. how, and obviously I got to back that up with stuff, right? So that's an example. Or we can use a story form. So story form being like, and I think I've said this before, but it could be something like, how this 28-year-old janitor was able to pay off his debt and buy a house and travel the world for 2 years without blah 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 because of sports betting, something like that, right? And obviously that's a whole story, and we can tell the life about him being a janitor and how he got into sports betting, and obviously there's a little bit of a hero's journey and stuff with that, right? But like that's kind of the first part of this is the hook, right? Second one is the body. So the body part is we want to continue the argument that we laid out with the question on the first slide, right? So we don't want to just start talking about random shit right, like right after we make a hook on the first slide. We will have to make sure that like each slide kind of transitions into the next. So starting at slide 2, you obviously have to continue the argument or the thesis laid out in hook, or like in the hook in the original part. So if you're talking about a 28-year-old janitor that's doing da 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 da, right? You probably don't want to start talking about Kylie Jenner immediately, right? So we want to make sure that everything's cohesive. The second one is like make it interesting and use pictures and photos, right? So we can like pull from AI, we can pull from a bunch of different stuff, right? But if you use photos and throw them in there, it like breaks up the monotony and like it just does different things to people's brains. So I think it's a very good addition. Obviously, you have to make it look clean and smooth, but there's a way to do it. And so I would say using photos in the body copy is very good. The next one is like we want to make a complete argument or make a complete hero's journey, right? So we need to at least like complete the thought on one point, right? One argument at least. It doesn't have to be like multiple arguments, but we at least need to finish the thought on one argument. Because the reason I see a lot of posts fall flat is because we don't like completely explain something, or maybe like we introduce too many ideas into the post, so then people are thinking about 3 things at once instead of just one thing. And so there's a principle in copy. It's called the rule of 1, and basically you always want to have like just one core idea, and you want to kind of layer on that as much as possible. If you start layering too many like different perspectives of the same idea, then it starts to get really confusing, right? And obviously on the body copy, your body needs to lead into the transition, right? So for my copywriters, the ones that work for me, whenever they're writing this, like they basically they will write the hook and the body and the transition, right? And then they'll figure out what call to action they want to do. So they'll basically like create posts like almost 75% of the way, just to get the content and the hook and all the transitions right, and then they'll slap on their call to actions at the end. So it's like DM whatever, right? So the transition is really important. It's like the transition is giving context, right? So we obviously we're trying to sell something, and we're trying to get someone to DM us for a reason, but first we have to like explain why we want them to do it. So it's like here's an example of that. Like you could talk about your results, your benefits, mission, what you're looking to do to help people. So for example, to continue the idea of the 28-year-old janitor, it'd be like we're on a mission at Sportsville Picks to help people become educated bettors and basically change their lives and and create a 6-figure income with sports betting. So that could be an example of like the benefits, or sorry, that could be an example of the mission, right? And then obviously you can talk about the benefits. It's like, if you'd like to live a laptop lifestyle or a, digital lifestyle and, not have to work a 9 to 5 and stuff like that, then, you see what I mean? So it's like the transition that we use into the call to action is basically how we like get people interested into what we have to offer. So I think really what's really key in this specific area on the transition is using the phrasing like, if you're interested in X, then do Y. That type of framework leads into the call to action. Like if you do it like that, it will work really well. So I'll be very specific. So I'll give you an example of this one right here. So if you want to learn how to do this, I'm giving away my book for free, right? So if you want that, so that was an easy transition right there, So here we go. And if you want to learn how to do that too, I'm passing on everything I know. So that's like our first transition statement into setting the premise, right? Let's see this one. Dr. Stillman. The result. The transition is this: 99% of Americans are in the dark about alternative treatments that can actually improve their standard of living. I can't go into too much detail about these alternative treatments without the algorithm shadow banning me, but let me show you a quick example. Boom. That's the That's the transition right there. And then we started talking about the business that he built around phototherapy and stuff like that. So that is the transition on this side. And then I even use it in this. So I say, if you're interested in building a business around phototherapy, I'm offering exclusive mentorship and training so that way you can harness this tool for yourself and others. So see that I use that in here in this post. So what I'll do for you, bro, is that is basically everything that I have to say in terms of for transition. And then the DM keyword, super easy. Yeah, I've showed you a few examples.